Hey, what's going on everybody, and welcome back to another Darkfall Python tutorial. So last week I did a video on creating some digital graffiti, and a few of you asked how did I come up with the name and the concept. Well, anybody who's watched these tutorials will no doubt know that I'm really bad at naming things. So using Python I created a pretty simple word generator, which then generated the phrase the Ocean Express. Then from that I just imagined some kind of surfer graffiti, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So I thought it'd be a good idea to show you how I created it, in case you guys want to create your own random word generator. And obviously this could be used for generating random names, random street names, random places, anything you want. So yeah, let's just jump right in. Go ahead and load up your scripting workspace. If you don't have one, just go to the top here, scroll through, and then find scripting. And now we can just arrange our layout. So for this, we're only going to need a few things. We're going to need a panel, an operator, and a property group. And again, we've covered this in a previous tutorial, so if you want to check it out, there will be a link up here. Go ahead and click this. So we could go to templates, go to Python, find UI panel simple. Then we could add an operator and a property group. But just to save a bit of time, I've already created a template that we're going to use. So I'm just going to go to open. So this is the template I'm going to be using. And if you want to follow along and download this template script too, there will be a link in our blog. Go ahead and check out the link in the description. We have a property group, which we can add some properties in a second. We have a panel with a button, and we also have an operator that actually doesn't do anything until we tell it to. So let's go back to the top and create some properties. So I'm just going to go to the end of the line, then hit enter. So now we're going to create some lists. Let's start with the first one. We're going to call this list_a equals open and close square brackets. And then in between here, I'm going to type quotation twice, and then add a comma, and then add quotation twice, add a comma, quotation twice. So now in between here we can just add some words. And you can add as many words as you want. I will come back and add some more a little bit later on, but for now let's just create our next list. So this is list_b equals open and close square brackets, quotation twice, comma, quotation twice, and you guys get the idea now. So I'm just going to copy this one, Control C, and then paste this in and just change this to be list C. And then we can add some more words in here, so let's start with this one. Adorable, ocean, frozen, I don't know, just a few random words, and then here, alien, express, and I don't know, and then mind. So there we go, we have 3 lists, and again you can add as many words as you want, and in fact I'm going to pause this right now and add some more words, so I'll be back in a second. So as you can see, I've added a whole bunch more words, and this will help generate random phrases. The more words you have, the better it will be. So after our lists, we're going to create some integers, which will be used to display one of these words within the list. So first we need a reference. We're going to call this number_1, then add a colon, then type int property, then open and close parentheses. Within here we can define the default. And there we go, so that's our first one done. Let's copy this and then just paste this in twice, and let's change these numbers to 2 and 3. So now we can go down to the operator. So within here we're going to generate some random numbers. So let's create a reference. Let's call this r1 equals randint, which is the random integer function, open and close parentheses, and then within here I'm going to type a, comma, b. So this is going to generate a random number between the values of a and b, and obviously we need to define a and b, so let's do that now up here. So we can say a equals 0, because as you know the way Python works, the first item is always going to be numbered 0. Then b equals, well, we don't actually know because we've not counted it, so let's go back to our property group. So in list A, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But as I mentioned, the way Python works, this one would be 0, this one would be 1, this one would be 2, this one would be 3, this one would be 4, and this one would be 5. So when we generate a random number, we want to generate a random number between 0 and 5, even though there are 6 items. I hope that makes sense, and I hope I'm not confusing it too much. So now B would be 5, and then when the button is pressed, it will generate a random number between 0 and 5. Then we just need to update that integer that we created before. So if we could just go back up here, we see we just want to update number 1. We could just type mytool.number_1 equals R1. So this is saying our integer in the property group, we want it to equal R1, which is whatever random number that it generates. So now we have this, we can go ahead and display it in our panel. So go up to our panel. Then within here, we're just going to add some text. So that would be layout.label, open and close parentheses. Then within here, we're going to type text equals, and then we're going to type mytool.list_a, open and close square brackets. Then within here, instead of typing a number like we normally would do, we're going to be using our integer. So we're going to type mytool.number_1. So now if we hit run script, then go over to the 3D view, press N, go down to our new tab, and now we can see we have a panel, and when we press this, so there we go. Now we can do the same thing for the other lists. So let's go back down to the operator. Again, we need to generate random numbers for each list. So let's go back down here and copy this, then hit enter. Let's paste this in 2 times. Then we want to change the reference numbers. Obviously we don't want to keep them the same, so I'm going to say R2 and R3. So R1 is going to be list A, R2 is going to be list B, and R3 is going to be list C. And each list has a different word count. If we go back up here, we can see this one only has a few, where this one has loads, and yeah, this has a few as well. So instead of sitting here and counting all the way through these, what we can do is use Python to tell us how many are in the list. So let's go back down to the operator. So again, this is for debugging. Let's create a reference, x equals, then we want to find the length of a list. So let's type len, open and close parentheses, and then within here we just need to type the reference of the list. So that would be mytool.list_a, and hit enter. And now we can type print, open and close parentheses, then within here we could just type x, and it would just tell us the length of list A. Or we can get a bit fancy and add some words. So we're going to print some text, comma, and X. Then let's do the same thing for B and C. So just copy and paste these, change the reference, and then also change it over here, B and C. And again, let's copy this, paste it, and change it. So now when we hit run script and then press this button, it now has printed this information, but we don't see it. So we need to go and toggle the system console. So scroll through here, go to window, toggle system console. It's a little bit small right now, so I'm going to hold control and scroll the middle mouse wheel. So we can clearly see list A has 6 items, list B has 217, list C has 104. So we can use this information now, so I'll just close this back down. So now let's go back here, so let's just make a bit of room. So we know for our first one, we have between 0 and 5. For our second one, we want to go from 0 to 216, I think it was. So we need to create a new reference. To 16, let me just double check. So 217, obviously we need to take 1 away since it starts at 0. So now we can change this to C, and then we need to do the same thing for the third list. And D equals, it was 104, so we need to change it to 103. And then let's change this to D. So now we're generating 3 random numbers. We just need to update the other 2 integers. And just paste it a couple more times. And then make sure we change this to number 2. Number 3, R2 and R3. And if you want, we can get rid of this now, we don't need it. And then we can go back to the panel, grab this, copy it, paste it, and you guessed it by now, just change these small details, B and C, 2 and 3. So that should be it. Let's test this now. So we can see it displays the 3 words. If we click this button, it should just keep generating a random phrase. Let's just change a few things, lay out this a little bit better. If you guys want to download this script, again, there will be a link, check that out. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to hit that like button. As always, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.